As the Crystal Palace manager, Oliver Glasner, speaking ahead of kick-off. Leanne Sanderson alongside me. That is what's most impressive, isn't it, about this Palace success story going back to last season. They lose big players seemingly every transfer window, although they did manage to keep their captain, Mark Gay, this summer. But they managed to keep reinventing themselves. They keep finding these untapped gems. And Yeremy Pino very much looks like the latest one.
Definitely, and I hate to draw comparisons, especially against teams that are their rivals, but you look at clubs like Brighton, clubs like Brentford, well-run football clubs that when they do lose their stars, you know, they're able to, no one's even talking about those players that they've lost. So because Ollie Glasner just spoke about it. So, interestingly enough, Ollie Glasner doesn't actually stay at club for longer than 2 years, it seems. When he was at Wolfsburg, 2 years, Frankfurt, 2 years, 18 months he's been at Palace. So, for him, like, they'll be lucky to keep hold of a manager like him, I believe.
And his contract is up at the end of the season.
Not saying he's going to leave, but at the same time, he has done a fantastic job with the players that he's got. And Mark Gay here, you know, I spoke to you about it before, Crookie, didn't I? Him. The fact that he has continued to play to those levels, a player that was a done deal on transfer deadline day, you know, and for him to continue, I think it's admirable how he's professionally just turned up and done his job. He's not sulked, he's got on with it, and he's been played to a high level.
And it was interesting when we were speaking over on Talksport as well about Crystal Palace and their success this season. You were talking in particular about the form of Ismaila Sarr, who I think we all saw what a talented player he could be at Watford, but he didn't necessarily produce that on a consistent basis. He seems to have found that consistency now at Selhurst Park.
Definitely, and I think because he's almost been in the shadows, everyone's talking about Mateta, you know, where's Mateta going to go? He's been picked for the national team now and all those types of things. I think Sarr, most Palace fans will tell you the same thing. He's been their best player, genuinely. He's so good in front of goal, but it's his first touch to get his preparation touch into the 18-yard box. He looks fit, he looks sharp, and he's a real threat in front of goal. And I feel like because everyone's always talking about Mateta, he kind of goes under the radar. Not to Palace fans. You talk to any Palace fan, they'll tell you the same thing.
A reminder of results already in the early kickoffs in Europe tonight. Aston Villa live on Talksport 2. They beat Young Boys by 2-1, a match that was marred by crowd trouble from the visiting Swiss fans, but another win for Aston Villa. Martin O'Neill bowing out of Celtic seemingly after his interim spell in charge with an impressive 3-1 victory away from home in the Europa League against Feyenoord. We're going to keep you updated with Nottingham Forest at home to Malmo in the Europa League. That's live on Talk Sport right now. A repeat, of course, of Forest's famous European Cup final victory, and Rangers go to Portugal to take on Braga as well. Coming up this weekend, Sunday, midday kickoff as Crystal Palace take on Manchester United live on Talksport. Before that, on Saturday night, we've got a London derby, 8 o'clock kickoff as Tottenham take on Fulham. Thomas Frank in need of a victory in that game. And then next midweek, we've got a full round of Premier League fixtures for you, all 10 games from the Premier League live on the Talksport network, including on Wednesday night, Crystal Palace's trip to Burnley. That will be live on the Talksport app. The two sets of players have just posed for their pre-match pictures. The Strasbourg players in their blue shirts and white shorts tonight are gathered in a huddle on the centre circle. Palace in their all-yellow chain strip, having already beaten Dynamo Kyiv and AZ Alkmaar in this Conference League, looking to add Liam Rosenior Strasbourg to their list of scouts. Victory would be enough to take the Eagles into the top 8 and those automatic qualification places for the round of 16. And that won't be easy against the Strasbourg side with a formidable home record this season. Only Roberto De Zerbi's Marseille have managed to win on this ground this season. We are in an area of France renowned for its Christmas markets, but the only gift those travelling Palace fans want to unwrap tonight is 3 precious Conference League points. And it is the visitors to the sound of booze who get us off and running. Palace shooting from right to left in this first half, live on Talksport 2. Straight away the ball is brought down inside the centre circle by Mark Gay. He sends it long looking for Mateta. Yet to score in the Conference League proper. Jean-Philippe Mateta, he did get a goal in the playoff win against Fredrikstad. It's Palace on the ball on the halfway line with Maxence Lacroix and the travelling Eagles supporters on a cold night across the channel, warming themselves up with their songs in the early exchanges here. Dean Henderson, all in green. The England international looks again for Mateta, nodded away by Mamadou Sarr. But Palace dominating possession early on as the ball went through there forward to Mateta. It was played by Pino, just skipped away from the Frenchman and is collected by the Strasbourg goalkeeper Mike Penders on loan from Chelsea.
Yeah, good early start from Crystal Palace. I think you look at Pino in that position, just in the inside pocket on the left-hand side. He provides such great service for Mateta. It was interesting in the last game when Mateta missed that penalty and he kind of looked back as if to say, I didn't hear the whistle, it was a poor penalty. But I think other than that, Mateta makes really good runs, and equally on that right-hand side with Sarr occupying that area as well, I think that can really cause Strasbourg a lot of problems.
2 goals and 3 assists in his last 5 away games in all competitions for Yeremy Pino. Was particularly impressive in that 2-0 victory at Molineux at the weekend. Got the second goal as, again, Palace looked to use the pace of Sarr, but the ball skips out of play for a throw-in on this near touchline, which will be taken by Guela Doué, the younger brother of Desiree Doué, who scored in the Champions League final for PSG, no less, last season. And Penders, the Strasbourg goalkeeper, all in purple away to our left, just plays the ball to Sarr on the edge of the area. 2 minutes gone, 0-0 here between Strasbourg and Crystal Palace in the Conference League. And Palace content to let Strasbourg have the ball on the edge of their own penalty area.
I'm intrigued to see how Crystal Palace are going to occupy those spaces out wide, because we know Munoz likes to get down the right, Mitchell down the left, with the 3 back from Crystal Palace. And I think at this moment in time, only 2 minutes in, they're kind of working each other out. There's only one centre forward up front for Strasbourg. That's not really going to cause a lot of problems for Lacroix and Gehi in that position.
Little step over from Enciso forward to that lone striker Amiga, and the ball has been switched out to the Strasbourg left, and Barco gets across into the area, scooped away by Maxence Lacroix. And Strasbourg have it back now with Mamadou Sarr. Played 1 game for Chelsea at the Club World Cup in the summer before moving to their sister club on loan. There's a big Chelsea connection in this part of France. Liam Rossignol had overtures actually from championship clubs in the summer, but it's my understanding that the Blue Coat group, who own both Chelsea and Strasbourg, were keen to keep him in the system. Maybe someone they see as a potential long-term successor to Enzo Maresca.
You never hear a bad word about him. You hear ex-players that have played underneath him, probably been the assistant.
Doué with the cross into the penalty area, defended away by Munoz this time, and then Yeremy Pino gives it away cheaply. He did a good job, didn't he, Rossignol, at Hull, and missed out on a championship playoff place on the final day of the season a couple of years ago. He was relieved of his duties immediately, pitched up at Strasbourg, led them to 7th last season, and they're ticking along pretty nicely this season as well. And Mateta has just won it back off Doué on the edge of the centre circle. In the end, it just ricochets kindly for Penders, the Strasbourg goalkeeper. We've played 4 minutes on Talksport 2. It's still goalless here as Julio Enciso, the Paraguayan, once at Brighton, picks up possession for the home team, and then it's launched forward into the penalty area, but straight into the arms of Henderson.
Penders was quite fortunate there, because it looked like Mateta was going to almost do a Richarlison in that moment. You know, if he had a little look, Penders was so far off his line, but it was good defending in the end.
Here's Ismaila Sarr, the number 7 for Crystal Palace, linking up with Daniel Munoz. Munoz robustly into the challenge, but the ball bounces off him and out for a throw. Mateta looking to put Sarr under pressure. Left corner of the Strasbourg penalty area away to our left, and they're not afraid to play it out from the back there. Short pass by Penders, immediately closed down by Jefferson Lerma, but Strasbourg keep the ball. It's those travelling Palace fans who are making most of the noise at the moment inside this stadium, with a score at 0-0. And here is Will Hughes with the blonde hair for the Eagles, and Pino now attacking down the left-hand side, level with the penalty area. Lays it back for Tyreek Mitchell, who crosses, bounces off a Strasbourg defender, and Palace win the first corner of the evening with 6 minutes gone.
Yeah, Strasbourg cause their own problems there, really. It's all very well being comfortable playing out from the back, but it's very, very slow. You can see Liam Rossignol there, you know, kind of talking to his coaching staff as if to say, what we're doing in that moment, you know, yes, be, you know, good with the ball, but they're moving it far too slowly. Give it to Crystal Palace and they come straight back at them.
Corner to be taken down the Palace left. 6 minutes gone, 0-0. It's Jeremy Pino who takes it short. Gay gives it back to the Spaniard. Stands up the cross towards the near post, headed clear, but only as far as Lerma on the edge of the area. And then nodded further away by Lucas Hogsberg. Still not cleared their lines yet, though. The team in blue, as Daniel Munoz, 35 yards out, tries to work his way into a shooting position. Gave it away momentarily to El Murabet, and it's won back by Jefferson Lerma, the Colombian, and he switches the play beautifully out to Pino down the Palace left. Confident start from Oliver Glasner's men, but Pino barged off the ball by Doué, who then runs the ball out of play, and Palace have a throw.
Doué did well there because Pino went absolutely flying. He can't believe he's not got a foul. I don't think it was a foul. I just think he seemed stronger in that moment. But as we're seeing, there was a fantastic switch, the point of attack from Lerma in that moment. That's obviously something Palace will look to get at. I was quite surprised, Crookie, that Gahey was the player that they went short to on the corner, because surely he would be the player that you want in the box.
Henderson with a long punt upfield, picked up by Mateta, spots the goalkeeper off his line, goes for the lob. Didn't quite come off, and it's straight into the arms of Penders in the end. But that was a bit of a mismatch, wasn't it? Mamadou Sarr with a lazy flick at the ball. Mateta picks it up, sees Penders was only a couple of yards off his line, went for the chip, and in the end it's straight into the keeper's arms.
Yeah, not the greatest execution in the end, but I'm telling you now, this Penders is off his line quite a bit. I mentioned it about 2 minutes ago when I said I'm surprised Mateta didn't have a look in that moment, just couldn't quite execute it. But Penders definitely backtracking towards his own goal.
Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 0. Victory for Aston Villa, home to Young Boys in the Europa League earlier tonight, live on Talksport 2. Good win for Celtic as well in that competition. 3-1 away at Feyenoord, 0-0 over on Talksport between Forest and Malmo, as Mateta again looks to get through the middle of the Strasbourg defence. This time the ball runs away from him and is collected by Penders. Certainly that looks like an area that Jean-Philippe Mateta can exploit. They don't look particularly comfortable, the two centre-backs at the moment, dealing with the big Frenchman.
No, they don't, and his movement is excellent. You can see Sarr and Pino are trying to get on the ball to try and find that central ball. What I love about Crystal Palace, amongst many things, a lot of their individuals play to a really high standard. A lot of these players, most people would think they're just like cogs in an engine. You know, they do their job, they're very consistent, but I like the fact they penetrate through the middle. They don't always go out wide. They have a clear pattern of play of what they're trying to do. And I think it works. I think that's why it's working under Ollie Glasner, because there's no people showboating. They're just doing their job to the best of their capabilities, and they're getting results. They've
been very reliable away from home as well, Palace. 2 defeats in their last 12 on the road. That's what makes this such a fascinating contest. You've got Strasbourg unbeaten in their last 10 European home games against a team who do travel well. Here is Enciso. He travels well with the ball, tries to play it forward to Amiga, intercepted by Gay, and here's Pino at the other end. We're going to go up through the gears, taken away from him this time by Doué, and it's collected by Ismail Decore. He's actually a player who's dropping in alongside Mamadou Sarr, with Hogsberg playing in midfield tonight. Ismail Decore scored against Bromby in a Champions League qualifier earlier in the season, but doing a more defensive role tonight as Will Hughes intercepts a pass forward 10 yards inside Strasbourg territory. 0-0 with 10 minutes gone here on Talksport 2, and Lerma with a ball forward to Pino. Showed a bit too much of that to Hogsberg, and here now at the other end is Sebastian Nanasi for Strasbourg. Barco will take over, plays the ball into the penalty area. This is a chance, and it's a good save by Henderson at the near post. A really fluid counter-attack from Strasbourg. It was El Murabet with the effort, having got the wrong side of Maxence Lacroix, and Henderson sticks out the right leg and saves at his near post at the expense of a corner.
Yeah, El Murabet does well there, but I actually think the better option would have been to cut it back to Amiga in the central area. I think Dean Henderson clearly had that covered on that near post, as you'd expect him to, but it's a good break for Strasbourg. They got out down that left-hand side.
Corner whipped into the near post, headed away by Daniel Munoz. Strasbourg trying to keep Palace penned back inside their own 18-yard box here. Munoz over on the far side can't keep the ball in play, so it will be a throw-in for the home side, looking for their 100th goal under the management of Liam Rossigna. Oliver Glasner, arms folded, perched in the technical area, wearing that trademark black anorak. Of course, he knows what it takes to lead a team to European glory. He was in charge of the Frankfurt side that beat Rangers in Seville a few seasons ago in the final of the Europa League. As the cross comes into the Palace area, picked up by Barco on the volley, left-footed and wide.
Yeah, I mean, I think Palace started the game really, really well, but the last couple of minutes, they're just coming into the game a little bit more, Strasbourg. It was a really good ball in from Doué. Caught it well, Barco, in the end. I think Dean Henderson, it kind of just came off his shin in the end. But I think it's really good signs from Strasbourg, pressing. I think Palace are doing a really good job at setting traps defensively. Strasbourg are playing right into their hands. But right now, I think both teams just need to maintain the ball a little bit better. Palace are just giving away the ball. A mega press really well there from the front for Strasbourg. But I think Palace just need to get their foot on the ball, connect a few passes and play through the lines, because they were getting a lot of joy from Lerma switching the point of attack to the left-hand side.
A reminder, this game brought to you by TNT Sports, your home of European football. 12 minutes gone, Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 0 in the Conference League. No goals over on Talksport as yet between Forest and Malmo in the Europa League, and it's goalless as well between Braga and Rangers in that competition. Wins already tonight for both Aston Villa and Celtic. As Julio Enciso with the bleached blonde hair plays the ball infield. Won back momentarily by Pino, but there is El Murabet to just coax it back to his goalkeeper Penders, the Belgian under-21 international, very highly rated actually at Stamford Bridge. I think they see him long-term as someone who can challenge for Chelsea's #1 jersey.
Man, I still can't believe, Crookie, that they didn't bring in another goalkeeper, to be honest. Chelsea, with the quality that they have, I think that's been a position that's been lacking for a little while now. Penders looks comfortable on the ball as well. He looks really good playing out from the back.
Here's Barco down the left-hand side for Strasbourg. Barco continued his run towards the penalty area. Now Moreira will take over. Munoz wins it back. And Maxence Lacroix being put under pressure by Nanasi. So plays it back towards his own byline. It's not a brilliant clearance away, brought down by Namiga, and then the effort towards the far corner by Nanasi. Henderson was scrambling, but it's wide and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's really poor giveaway again from Crystal Palace. Really uncharacteristic-like. I was very complimentary of their back line, but I just think, you know, by the time it got to Nanasi, Omega does really well to press. Lerma tries to get the ball away. It wasn't an easy chance for Nanasi in that moment. The crowd tries to put pressure on. But I think right now, you know, both teams are just giving away the ball far too cheaply in their build-up play. You know, it's been quite scrappy. We'd expect a game to maybe settle down after 15, 20 minutes or so. But both teams just are not possessing the ball at all.
14 minutes gone. We await the first goal of the evening. Palace having started confidently. We've seen Strasbourg carve a couple of decent opportunities at the other end, and again the French team give the ball away cheaply inside their own half, helped on by Sarr to Mateta. Mateta tried to return the favour, but it's been cleared away by Mamadou Sarr, and the offside flag I think was up anyway. The eagle-eyed Spanish assistant referee on that far side had spotted that Sarr was offside when he tried to play the pass into Mateta, so free kick for Strasbourg, 15 yards or so outside their own penalty area.
I tell you what though, Crookie, that was fantastic play from Crystal Palace. It was 1 and 2 touch. It was offside in the air, but Will Hughes is doing a really good job. We know he's a workhorse defensively, but I think he's doing a really good job at kind of setting the tempo and the pace when they are on the ball as well.
66% possession for Strasbourg so far, which will be encouraging for Liam Rosenior. They do usually give the opposition opportunities, though. The only team heading into this round of games in the top 17 in the Conference League without a clean sheet in the competition. The ball is flicked forward by Crystal Palace there over on their far side, but it's immediately won back by Strasbourg. It was Convo who gave it away. He was at fault for the goal that Larnaca scored at Selhurst Park in Palace's only defeat so far in Europe. It's their first ever continental campaign, who won the FA Cup last season.
I'll tell you what, Crookie, I'm really enjoying this battle down on this right-hand side for Strasbourg and Doué and Mitchell, because they're both playing a little bit of cat and mouse. It's like when Mitchell goes, Doué has to recover, and I'll be interested to see, because that looks like where the space is, where they're trying to get out, Strasbourg. Equally, Palace are trying to get out down their left as well. So I'm enjoying that battle. I think right now both sides are just cancelling each other out a little bit centrally. And Cisso's trying to do that job. Pino's trying to do that job for Palace in that number 10 spot to try and get things going.
Just a bit of verbals there between Julio Enciso and Jeremy Pino. After a foul by the Spaniard, it's going to be a Strasbourg free kick midway inside Palace territory. Julio Enciso, the former Brighton player, scored a Puskas winning goal during his time at Brighton against Manchester City, you may recall. Certainly got bags of talent. As the free kick is floated straight into the arms of Dean Henderson, the Palace goalkeeper wanted to bowl it out quickly. That was disappointing from Barco. And in the end, Henderson just rolls it to JD Convo on the edge of the Palace penalty area, away to our right. 0-0 with 17 minutes played. Henderson out to the right-hand side, looking for Jean-Philippe Mateta, headed away by Decore and picked up by Barco inside the centre circle, and he side puts it all the way back to Penders inside the 18-yard box.
Yeah, that was a good opportunity there for Strasbourg to kind of, put a little bit of pressure on Crystal Palace in that back line area. It was not the greatest of balls in from Barco, but I think what I'm seeing in his first 17 minutes is Strasbourg are just okay keeping the ball, slowing down the tempo and trying to pick their moments and trying to find a spare player.
Given away by Barco to Hughes, though. Not a great ball from Mateta into Ismail Assar. It was behind him and he just about managed to keep possession for Palace. There's a big plume of smoke goes up from behind Mike Pender's goal. Looks like some kind of flare has been let off in that end of the ground. Here's Mateta, back heel towards Pino, sliding challenge by Barco to win it back for Strasbourg, and then it's floated clear towards the halfway line where Maxence Lacroix is too strong for Amiga. 0-0. Neither side looking particularly fluid in these early exchanges. Will Hughes coming forward for Palace, out to the left, and Pino back to Mark Gay, rather, his captain, and now Jefferson Lerma. Lerma right in the centre of the Strasbourg half, tries to stretch the play, switches out wide to the right to Daniel Munoz, who's always a willing runner. And Will Hughes with the left-footed cross towards Mateta, and that was an important header behind his own goal by Mamadou Sarr, with Mateta lurking dangerously. It will be a corner. That was a good delivery by Hughes.
Lovely ball again from Lerma, and I spoke about him getting on the ball a little bit more, trying to switch the point of attack. He's done it with right foot to left, left foot to right. Lovely ball out to Munoz, and they create an opportunity there. Will Hughes puts a fantastic ball in. Mateta gets up well. It was good defending in the end from Strasbourg.
And actually the last touch was off Mateta, so it was a goal kick for Strasbourg, not the corner that I originally thought.
I thought it was a corner as well, Crookie.
It was good officiating that, because it was Sarr with a header, but then I think it just clipped off the back of Mateta, who was coming down, having jumped for the ball. Here's Barco. 20 minutes played, 0-0 in France between Strasbourg and Crystal Palace in the Conference League. This is Mateta. Showed a bit too much of that to Sebastian Nanasi, and Strasbourg have it back again inside their own half now with Diego Moreira, another Belgium international, another former Chelsea player, and that's a good ball forward to Amiga. Lacroix lets it bounce over his head there. Amiga inside the penalty area to Enciso, who shoots. Right-footed effort, but lack power, straight into the arms of Dean Henderson, the Palace goal.
Yeah, Palace just switched off there a little bit. The back three dropped a little bit too deep. Barco played a really good ball over, and I think by the time it got to Amiga, he'd done really well at holding up the play. Pulls it back in the end to Enciso. Wasn't the greatest of strikes in the end from the edge of the box, but Palace will have to try and push up a little bit more to try and delay that, because they won't want to be getting a free shot on goal, because Enciso has that in his locker, as we know, especially from the edge of the box. So views of the former England international Leanne Sanderson here on Talksport 2. You are listening to Strasbourg against Crystal Palace in the Conference League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Clear-cut chances have been in relative short supply, haven't they? Just the one effort from El Mourabet that Henderson did well to save with the legs at the near post. Palace yet to really ask any serious questions of
Mike Penders at the other end.
Yeah, I mean, apart from a couple of opportunities where Pino's trying to play the ball through to Mateta, I agree with you, Crookie. I think Palace will be looking to kind of create a little bit more, but I think for both teams, I know you said Strasbourg had most of the possession, which I understand because they're possessing the ball a lot in their back line, but I think they're also giving away the ball every single time they're getting it. They're passing straight back to Crystal Palace, and I think Will Hughes is doing a really good job defensively, but they'll be looking to create a little bit more. I think if Lerma can get on the ball more, he has that ball on a rope, he has an unbelievable ping, I think it can cause Strasbourg some problems.
Here's Mark Gay, the England international. Long punt forward, looking for Mateta. Jumps with Sarr, but couldn't get his head on it. And Sarr able to just coax it back to Penders in goal, and then picks it up. Sarr in the right back position with the Strasbourg Ultras bouncing in unison behind Penders' goal. Certainly a very noisy home crowd tonight. It's always a big occasion when a Premier League team come to town. Now Dean Henderson in possession just inside the Crystal Palace 18-yard box away to our right. 0-0 the score. Still goalless over on Talksport as well, where Forest taking on Malmo in a repeat of their famous European Cup final win in the Europa League, and no goals in Portugal, where Rangers are visiting Braga. Earlier tonight, Villa beat Young Boys 2-1 in the Europa League, and Celtic, under the guidance of the veteran Martin O'Neill in interim charge, beat Feyenoord in the Netherlands by 3-1. Good win for them.
What a great result that is. No one saw that one coming at all.
He's done really well, hasn't he, Martin? He's cut the gap in the Scottish Premier League, reined in Hearts at the top of the table, and picked up points in Europe as well. Looks like Wilfred Nancy, the Columbus Crew head coach, will be coming in as Celtic's next permanent manager.
Martin coming back to us now.
Yeah, well, he's finished his loan period.
It's interesting because I think Crystal Palace right now are playing right into Strasbourg's hands, because there's been a couple of chances. Mark Gahey's got the ball and he's just punted it. They hit and hope type of ball up to Mateta. Now I understand they want to maybe get him to hold the ball up and they want to feed off of him first and seconds, but you have to give a better ball. Give it to his chest, give it to his foot. You can't just hit it up there and expect him to hold everything up. It doesn't work like that.
No, especially when he's got two centre-backs in Sarr and Decore sticking very tight to him. Mateta, here is Ismaila Sarr for Palace down the right-hand side. Looks to cut it back for Munoz. Helps it on to Jefferson Lerma. Well, he balloons the shot high over the crossbar, Jefferson Lerma. I was looking at his goal record this morning. 1 goal in 92 games for Crystal Palace, and maybe the effort shows why.
I mean, that was... I've been quite complimentary of Lerma in this game, but that was erratic down to a T. It happens to the best of us, don't worry about that, but that was poor. I love it when they look down at the ground after they hit a shot like that, as if to say it's the grass that's made it that happen. But yeah, good positioning, but quite erratic in the end.
As the kids would say, that's the opposite of techers, I think, from Jefferson Lerma. Wasn't much technical capability in that effort. Palace still really to work Mike Penders in the Strasbourg goal. Here's Enciso in the bright pink boots running forward over the halfway line. Now Barco, clever little layoff to Moreira down the left-hand side. We're in the Alice band. Moreira into Barco inside the penalty area, looks to cut it back. And then Lerma plays his clearance against Will Hughes and gets a bit fortunate that the loose ball falls straight into his feet. Jeremy Pino at the other end is trying to put Decore under pressure. He does well. Decore just to usher the pass back to the keeper Penders, and Strasbourg in possession again at 0-0.
Yeah, I think Strasbourg are doing a really good job as the game's gone on, possessing the ball, picking their moments. They got out down, Crystal Palace's right side there. It was a lovely switch of attack. And then by the time it got to the opposition's 18-yard box to Palace's, it kind of broke down a little bit. And I think that's been the story of the game so far. Both teams are trying to possess the ball, but it's just breaking down when it's getting to the final third. But Strasbourg just look like they're in no rush to go back to front. They're just picking their moments.
Barco's been sent tumbling by Will Hughes. It's going to be a Strasbourg free kick in a central position inside the Palace half. This Strasbourg's first meeting against an English opponent since way back in the 97-98 season when they beat Liverpool 3-2 on aggregate in the UEFA Cup.
Interesting enough, Barco is a left-sided player, right? But it's almost like he's got a free roam coming into the midfield area, and it's causing Crystal Palace quite a lot of problems. I think that's why they can't find the spare player, because he's kind of everywhere. He's coming into that midfield area, kind of dictating everything going on. And I think Crystal Palace are thinking, what's going on here? Because he's actually a left-back.
Well, it's Barco who's going to take the free kick. The ex-Brighton man didn't play many minutes for the Seagulls before ending up here in Strasbourg, but it's his free kick that's going to be chipped into the area, left-footed, headed away by Convo, and then Jefferson Lerma looks to complete the clearance. Powerful surge away from Lerma, and he skipped past a couple of who skipped past a couple of challenges as well, and then played a lovely ball out to Munoz. Munoz into the penalty area, tried to get it onto his left foot, and sliding in there was Amiga, but that was great play by Ismaila Sarr.
Brilliant play from Sarr, retrieving the ball from the edge of the box. This is the type of bite I was talking about, Crookie. You know, he has that willingness, he's so direct, keeping the ball nice and close, cropping it inside. You could see exactly what Munoz was trying to do, to come inside, but I think the better ball would have been across the box, because Pino and Mateta were already in there.
Well, I think they've got a problem here, Crystal Palace. They've got a throw in, level with the penalty area down the right-hand side, but they're not going to hoist it in just yet, because Will Hughes is down. Looks like he's holding his right knee. And I wonder if Crystal Palace might be forced into an early alteration.
Yeah, that'll be disappointing if Will Hughes has to go off, because I think he's been excellent in this game so far. You know, he's been at the point of everything defensively. He's got a fantastic engine, so hopefully he'll be okay to carry on. It looked kind of completely unopposed as well. Just pulled up on the edge of the 18-yard box. Yeah.
As they were defending that free kick from Barco, he's just having his knee assessed now. Will Hughes, one of the three players that came into the Palace team tonight. I won't take any chances here. There's been a goal, by the way, over on Talksport. Nottingham Forest lead against Malmo. And on a night when they're playing a famous opponent from their history, it's Ryan Yates who's got the goal. Nottingham Forest through and through, so a real fairy tale for him. It's Forest 1, Malmo 0 in the Europa League. Here on Talksport 2, it's still Strasbourg 0, Palace 0, but Will Hughes is walking disconsolately off to the touchline as Palace prepare to take the throw in. JD Convo has just wiped the ball down in his yellow jersey and is going to launch this into the penalty area. They've got plenty forward to try and attack it, Crystal Palace. Lacroix at the near post got a header on it, but it's bounced behind off Amiga and out for a corner for Crystal Palace, their second of the game.
Yeah, good defending from Amiga, the captain there. And we spoke about it before, didn't we, Crookie? Like, they have a very young team. Now, he's captain in the side. Strasbourg is 22 years old. It'll be interesting to see if Will Hughes does go out, if Kamada comes in, or if Wharton's the player.
Well, Hughes is going to try and continue. Just gingerly making his way back onto the pitch. Corner kick, meanwhile, for Palace to be taken from the right-hand side. Towards Lerma on the edge of the area. Heads it into the 6-yard box, but cleared away by Doué. Pino, having just taken the corner, floats in the cross from the right-hand side, left footed straight into the arms of Penders.
Now, you know Will Hughes is that type of player, you'd have to drag him off the pitch, but you could just see the ball fell to him there, just pulled up. He's going to try, but I can't see it. I can't see it. Yeah,
just a little shake of the head from Will Hughes, who is back out there at the moment, but Palace may well be readying a change. Half an hour gone, 0-0 in this Conference League fixture. And the ball played forward by Strasbourg towards Amiga, gets there ahead of Maxence Lacroix, and then plays it back out to Doué down the right-hand side, and Cissé with a little flick back towards the halfway line where it's collected by Sarr. Strasbourg comfortable in possession here, but Palace have got everybody back inside their own half, back into position as Barco takes over inside the centre circle and tries to play that in behind Convo. Moreira got in the blind side and crosses into the penalty area, and it's Amiga who heads it wide and claims, I think, that he was being manhandled. That wasn't brilliant defending by Convo, got the wrong side, and as the cross came in, I think he was just facing the wrong way, wasn't he, Amiga?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what he's appealing for there, but again, it was a lovely ball from Barco. He's putting the strings right now. I don't know what Amiga is appealing for. He's not going to get a foul in that moment.
here comes the Palace change. It's a disappointing end to the night for Will Hughes with only 31 minutes played, and Adam Wharton, one of those rested by Oliver Glasner, with Manchester United coming to town on Sunday live on Talksport, is going to be introduced a lot earlier than he would have anticipated.
Yeah, I feel for Will Hughes, because as we said, he's that type of player that you'd have to drag him off the pitch. Tried to play through it when the ball came to him, he just knew it was a shake of the head. Disappointing for him, and you know, he's a real fan favourite at Palace, because he's one of those players that in these type of role that he plays and the way he plays it, he can't be halfway, he can't go 50%, he's 150% type of player. Adam Wharton coming into this game, different type of player to Will Hughes, but the quality that Wharton has on the ball, I mean, we've had the luxury of seeing him play live, and I think you have a full understanding for just how good he is when you see him play live, Cookie.
Yeah, absolutely, and you understand why he's being talked about potentially as a £100 million player, and being talked about potentially for a move to the likes of Manchester United and Liverpool. Adam Wharton, goal in the Conference League. Shamrock Rovers have fallen behind against Shakhtar Donetsk, 1-0 in that game. Forest leading over on Talksport. Malmo by a goal to nil, as I've already told you, and it's still Rangers 0, Braga 0. 0-0 here between Strasbourg and Crystal Palace as well.
Well, I call Adam Wharton as an effortless footballer, and what I mean by that, it doesn't mean he's not putting effort in, it means that football comes natural to him. You know, the way he manipulates the ball, his movement. And to be fair, when Sir Gareth Southgate picked him for that squad, no one saw that one coming at all. But I have to say, he found a hidden gem there, because I love watching him play, and you know, as a Man United fan, I'd love him to go to Manchester United. I think he's the type of player that could walk into any team. He's just a natural footballer.
Still hasn't scored a goal for Crystal Palace, though. In the modern era, when you look at Declan Rice, for example, that was something that was levelled at him at West Ham, that he didn't score enough goals. It's something he's had to add to his game since he went to Arsenal. Yeah,
but I think since Declan Rice has gone to Arsenal, Cookie, it's like he is in a better team. He's in a better footballing team. But he's not there to score goals, is he? Wharton's not there to score goals. But you're right, in modern day football, you have to add that to your locker, and that could be one of the reasons why he hasn't been picked for England of late.
Yeah, looks like Elliot Anderson is very much the man in possession of that number 6 jersey heading into the World Cup next summer. Every game from North America live on the Talksport network. We're going to be in Washington for the draw next week to see who England and Scotland and potentially the likes of Republic of Ireland, Wales and Northern Ireland might be paired with in the group stage. Of course, many of these Crystal Palace players will be hoping to be part of that jamboree come next June. As Palace win the ball back inside their own half with Ismail Assar, again having to drop very deep to try and get involved in the play. Sarr, sure Oliver Glasner would prefer to have him operating a lot higher up the pitch.
I think tactically Strasbourg have done a really good job at not really allowing Crystal Palace any space centrally.
Here is Barco again, floating towards the penalty area, chips in the cross, headed away by Gueye, but brought down by Doué, down by the right corner flag. Tyreek Mitchell stuck to him like glue, and in the end concedes the throw, which is taken quickly by Doué. Now Enciso trying to hold off Mark Gueye, but Gueye pokes the ball forward to Mateta, lays it off to his left and Pino, but again Strasbourg very quickly back in their shape, and Palace have to go all the way back to Maxence Lacroix in the centre-back position. Now Munoz 0-0 with 10 minutes to go in this first half in France. Lerma just rolls his studs over the top of the ball inside the centre circle, and then lays it off for Wharton, back to Lerma again, and Wharton with a left-footed ball hooked forward. Mateta grappling on the edge of the penalty area. He does really well, Mateta. Brilliant strength from him into Tyreek Mitchell. Chance for Palace, and Tyreek Mitchell finds the bottom corner. An unlikely goal-scoring hero. The left wing-back for Palace breaks the deadlock, but it was all about the hold-up play of Jean-Philippe Mateta on the edge of the penalty area, and he still had the mindset to play the perfect through ball for Tyreek Mitchell, who fires into the bottom corner. It's his second goal of the season, and it is Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 1.
That is top draw from Mateta. I mean, that is 101 hold-up play, because Palace were occupying the spaces really well, popping the ball round, and it was almost like that hit and hope ball that I was talking about. Wharton just floated it up in the air, and Mateta had no right to even get to this ball, let alone hold it up, and played a lovely little intricate outside of the football between the centre-back and Doué. And then Mitchell, he still has a lot of work to do here. Mitchell hits the target low and hard in that bottom right-hand corner. Love this goal from Crystal Palace, but this is fantastic play from Mateta, exactly what you need from your number 9. And Mitchell, great composure in front of goal.
And Palace have the breakthrough with virtually their first shot on target. Mike Penders, the goalkeeper on loan from Chelsea, barely tested to that point, but it was a really good finish from the wing-back, as we've already said, after brilliant forward play by Jean-Philippe Mateta. He absolutely bossed Lucas Hogsberg, the Dane, and then still played the perfect pass for the overlapping Mitchell. Palace have the lead on the goalkeeper's miles off his line, and they've given the ball away, and it's hit the post from Ismail Assar. How has that stayed out? From 35 yards out, straight from kickoff. Strasbourg gave away possession cheaply. Penders, I don't know what he's doing. He's halfway up towards the centre circle. Sarr gets the shot away right-footed, and it looked for a moment, Leanne, as if it would kiss the inside of the right post and trickle over the line, but it's gone wide.
Yeah, Sarr can't believe that hasn't gone in, and I spoke about it in the first 10 minutes. Penders is so far, he's good with his feet, with the ball at his feet, but his positioning is really poor, Crookie. He's so far off his line, and in that moment, it was poor play in the back line. Liam Racina will not be happy with that, because that's something he's solidified since taking over. Defensively, they don't concede as many goals as they did before, but that was poor, and I think Sarr will probably be really disappointed he hasn't put that in the back of the net, because a player of his quality, yes, it wasn't an easy finish, but the goal was gaping, and it ends up hitting the post, and it was unlucky for him.
I wonder if he could even taken an extra touch, Ismail Assar, just to properly set himself, but it would have been a really bad goal for Strasbourg to concede literally seconds after Tyreek Mitchell have broken the deadlock. You are listening to Strasbourg against Crystal Palace in the Conference League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Do you know what? In that moment, though, I understand why Sarr didn't take a touch. You're right, he did have time, but I think he was mindful the fact that the ball turned over when they're in that build-up play, and he wanted to get it off quickly.
Palace fans making themselves heard now. 7 minutes the first half to play. They lead 1-0 here in the Conference League. It will be 3 wins from 4 games to take them into the top 8, past the halfway stage. Palace, as we were hearing before kick-off, the bookmakers' favourites to do what West Ham and Chelsea have done in recent seasons and win this competition. And has that goal from Tyreek Mitchell given them the springboard to go on and claim victory in France. Here is the Palace goal scorer down their left-hand side. And all of a sudden it's the Eagles dominating possession and dictating the tempo.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Strasbourg have done well possessing the ball. Like I mentioned many times, Barco's almost got like a free roll in and around the midfield area. He's been everywhere pulling strings. Penders looks susceptible to getting lobbed during this game for sure. We've seen Sarr try and do it there. We've seen Mateta try and do it as well. But I do think, it was a fantastic finish from Mitchell down this left-hand side. I still think there's goals in this game, Crookie. I still think, both sides haven't really possessed the ball centrally. Strasbourg are doing a really good job at forcing Palace to go out wide. And I think if Pino can get on the ball a little bit more, it could cause more problems for Strasbourg.
Marseille, remember, the only visiting team to win here over the course of the season so far. But Crystal Palace have kept 4 clean sheets in their last 5 away games. If they keep another this evening, then they will join Roberto De Zerbi's side in that very short list of visiting victors. Oh, lovely ball by Sarr, looking for Munoz. He's got good pace though. Diego Moreira getting back there and beating Munoz initially, but then in trying to keep it in, he's given it away. And here's Pino inside the penalty area. His shot slapped away by Penders, and then volley cleared by Moreira. They're on the rope, Strasbourg, all of a sudden.
They are. Moreira recovered really well there, because there was a lovely ball from Sarr in between the left-back and centre-back. Recovered so well. Munoz puts the pressure on, picks up Pino. Pino does everything right here for me. Very composed, takes a touch, looks like he was going to hit it first time. Decent save from Penders, but you'd expect to keep her at that kind of height, that type of distance to kind of save it from there, but good positioning from Pino. And that was what I was saying at Crookie about getting into those positions for Pino.
Jefferson Lerma to take the long throw. 4.5 minutes the first half to play. 1-0 Palace lead. Tyreek Mitchell with the only goal in this first half. Lerma using the running track that goes around the pitch to get maximum leverage, but it's headed away at the near post by Doué. Collected by Daniel Munoz back towards the halfway line. And now Lerma forward on this near left-hand side to Pino. Still plenty of yellow jerseys in the centre if Lerma opts to play the ball in. Instead he rolls it along the midfield to Wharton. And here now on the right is Ismail Assar. Hit the post seconds after Mitchell had scored. And Palace had a golden opportunity with Penders miles off his line, the goalkeeper, to make it 2-0. Here's Enciso. The Palace move having broken down, and Lerma with a tackle from behind, timed just about to perfection. No foul, says the Spanish referee, despite the protest from the home supporters. And here is Adam Wharton inside the centre circle, looking to float the ball forward to Mitchell. Perfectly weighted for the Palace goal scorer, and Doué has to slide in and concede the throw.
Yeah, I actually thought that was correct refereeing. I thought Lerma did get the ball. I understand why Enciso wanted the foul in that moment, and I spoke a lot about this battle of Doué. Well, it looks like Chilwell's about to come on.
Well, you could only assume that this is an injury issue for Strasbourg, bearing in mind we've only got 3 minutes and a few seconds left in the first half. It's Lucas Hogsberg who is making his way straight down the tunnel, and Ben Chilwell, part of the Palace side that won the FA Cup last season to qualify for Europe for the first time in their history, is coming on. Well, is that injury enforced, or is that a reaction to the fact that he was bullied by Mateta in the build-up to the goal, Hogsberg?
I mean, he doesn't look like he's injured, but the fact that that's a big call from Rossignol to pull him 3 minutes before half-time in that moment, so maybe he is carrying something. Lerma
with a throw into the penalty area once more, bounces down on the 6-yard line. Sarr keeps it alive, shoots right-footed, blocked by his namesake Mamadou Sarr, but it's still bouncing around inside the area. And Ben Chilwell straight away shows his experience, gets his body between Ismail Assar and the ball and helps it out for a goal kick. Yeah, that would seem a bit harsh for Hogsberg to get pulled because, you know, he allowed Mateta. It was fantastic play. And I'm looking forward to seeing Chilwell play in this game. I think everybody knew the potential of Chilwell. And I think before the injuries he picked up, which were not great injuries, you know, he did his ACL a couple of times. I think, like, you know, he's still only 28 years old. So I'm looking forward to seeing him go up against his former side. I'm sure it's quite emotional for him because I think he's a player that had such high hopes and prospects that when he was at Chelsea and then got that injury, no one expected to see him playing for Strasbourg at this moment in time and not even starting for them, did they? And he has been talking in the build-up to this game, Ben Chilwell, about the fact he still harbours ambitions to force his way into England's World Cup plans. Of course, a player that Thomas Tuchel knows well from his time at Stamford Bridge. And he was also revealing his reasons for turning his back on staying in England and making a fresh start in France. Here is Sarr inside the penalty area, tried to flick the ball away from Barco. He does well to keep it in place, Sarr, and then Munoz runs it behind for a goal kick. Yeah, as much as I like Ben Chilwell, I've always felt like he's got a wand of a left foot. I just can't see that Crookie for the World Cup. I just can't. I mean, he has to be playing for Strasbourg first and foremost, especially starting in a game like this, surely. He was expected to be in the starting 11, has been playing regularly for Liam Rossignol this season, so his omission was a bit of a surprise as Forest go 2-0 up on Malmo. Kalimuendo with a much needed goal on a personal level to double their lead over on Talksport in that Europa League game. So the Sean Dyche revival at the City ground goes on. It's still Rangers 0, Braga 0. And in the Conference League, Shamrock a goal down at home to Shakhtar. And here on Talksport 2, with 30 seconds of normal time in the first half to play, it's still Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 1. I think overall, Oliver Glasner will be pretty pleased, given Strasbourg's near formidable home record. That his side have got their noses in front. Tyreek Mitchell with the only goal, and Ismail Assar denied by the post soon after. We've got 2 added minutes at the end of the first half. Liam Rossignol and Glasner both out on the edge of their technical areas. Tyree Mitchell just ensuring the ball goes behind for a Palace goal kick, with Guela Doué attacking down the Strasbourg right.
I think since Palace scored though, Crookie, I think they've kind of kicked into gear a little bit. They look a bit more like themselves. And it's a European competition, you know, you're going up against opposition that you wouldn't normally go up against. And I think Ole Glasner will be really happy with how his teams performed at half-time. You know, Strasbourg have out-possessed them, but ultimately they're 1-0 up, and I think it's been a decent performance.
Yeah, not many people would have picked out Tyree Mitchell as the first goal scorer tonight. He scored a belter, didn't he, against West Ham earlier in the season. Here's Pino nicking the ball away from Sarr on the edge of the area, and then Ismaila Sarr couldn't quite find Mateta, but Mateta's cross from the left is charged down by Decore. If that pass was a little bit sharper, would have had a chance there to double Palace's lead. Crossed into the box, Munoz with a header at the far post, he knobs it wide. Yeah,
I mean, I was talking about Tyree Mitchell before the game about being selected for England, and I love him. I think he's a top player. But like you say, Crookie, he's not used to being a formidable goal scorer, but the fact that he's got a little bit higher up, and it was lovely play from Mateta, I think he's having a solid game so far down this left.
Yeah, and I guess this system with the two wing-backs encouraged to get forward by Oliver Glasner enables Mitchell to add one or two more goals. Certainly we've seen that from Daniel Munoz, the other wing-back. It will be the battle of the back threes, won't it, when Palace take on Manchester United live on Talksport midday on Sunday. And you have to say at the moment, Oliver Glasner has mastered this particular system, whereas Ruben Amorim still seems to be struggling on that front. Half-time whistle has gone. Crystal Palace halfway to their third win in 4 Conference League games. Tyree Mitchell with the only goal of the first half, and an unerring finish into the far corner after brilliant hold-up play by Jean-Philippe Mateta. Ismaila Sarr inches away from doubling that lead soon after, hitting the post from fully 35 yards after Mike Penders had gone walkabout in the Strasbourg goal. But I think overall, Leanne Sanderson, Oliver Glasner will be delighted with that opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, the only negative about that half is that Will Hughes had to go off with that injury after 30 minutes. Adam Waters come into the game and, you know, plays that ball up to Mateta. And I've said it many times, that is just unbelievable play from Mateta to hold the ball up, to play the ball, this nice little intricate ball on the outside of the foot to Mitchell. And I think Ole Glasner will be really happy with how his team's performed. I think first 10-15 minutes took a little while to get into the game. Strasbourg were possessing the ball in the backline area. Very, very patient, slow, pedestrian, playing through the lines. I think both teams, it wasn't the greatest of games in the opening 20 minutes, was it? A lot of turnover, but I think fantastic finish from Mitchell. Mateta's been brilliant, and there's been some real bright sparks for Palace.
So Forest 2 goals to the good up on Malmo over on Talksport, and here on Talksport 2, Crystal Palace's excellent start to the season shows no sign of relenting. Half-time, it is Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Conference League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Well, hello there. Welcome to the world of Trustford. Oh, it's huge. Filled with our friendly team to help you with all our latest products and offers. Like 0% APR on new cars and vans. And there's a wide range of used vehicles all available with Trustford now. Visit trustford.co.uk and discover the world of Trustford. For you. Terms and conditions apply.
Yes, gang! It's Black Friday time! A little birdie told me Very have some fab deals. Hey, there's Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, only £439. And save up to 40% on selected toys. Ooh, bargain!
Shop Black Friday deals plus more time to pay with Very Pay. Shop Very today. Very. Let's make it sparkle. Event ends 1st of December. Delivery from $3.99.
The EasyJet Holidays Black Friday sale is now on. Get up to £200 off package holidays at prices that can't be beaten. You'll soon be sitting poolside in Greece or Turkey or Spain. Book now. Search EasyJet Holidays. Get out there. Selected dates. Sale ends 11 p.m. the 2nd of December. See price guarantee online. Minimum spend required. ATOL protected. T's and C's apply.
Deals! Mega Monster deals! Unbelievably epic savings! Mind-boggling deals!
Shh! At Screwfix, our Black Friday deals are so good, we don't need to shout about them. Save on everything you need to get the job done. Power tools, safety and workwear, landscaping and outdoor, and electrical. On the app, in-store or online. Don't miss out. Deals must end 1st of December. Screwfix, no stopping you.
Get ahead of the game every supercharged sporting Saturday on Talksport with Travis Perkins. Make the warm-up a part of your weekly matchday ritual.
The game is underway.
And get an unrivaled preview of all the upcoming unmissable football action.
Absolutely first class.
With expert predictions, pitch-perfect analysis and a top-flight lineup of guests. Guaranteed. The warm-up with Max Rushton and Charlie Baker. Saturday morning from 9 on Talksport with Travis Perkins. Doing what matters for the trade.
The tulips only bloom at midnight.
Sorry, what?
The tulips only bloom at midnight.
Are you talking to
the
me?
The tulips only bloom at midnight.
I'm gonna sit on another bench if that's okay.
You don't need a secret code to get better deals on credit. You just need a little help from Experian to improve your credit score. Download the Experian app and check your credit score and report for free today.
Kev, it's Black Friday madness. Customers, calls, emails.
Then you need something built for busy, like iPhone 17. And right now, you can save £144 on a 36-month plan in EE's Black Friday sale. iPhone 17, a delight at work, even when your coffee's gone cold.
Nice one, Kev. Have a fresh hot coffee on me.
Search EE Business today. BT and EE, better for business.
Excludes 20% VAT. Ends 4th December. Terms apply.
This Saturday, leave behind the dank, rank monotony of the weekday. The spirit of Saturday is upon us. Rise up.
It's big ticket live Premier League football you can't afford to miss.
Saturday is game day.
What a strike! One spectacular pitch performance you can't hear anywhere else. Live commentary of Spurs versus Fulham. Game day exclusive.
And he has rammed it home. This Saturday on Talksport. Passion, heartbreak, glory, despair, triumph.
Fantastic try.
The Conference League.
Brilliant reaction.
Live
on Talksport 2.
It drags for Daniel Marlin, who takes the drive and a great save from Keller.
Stunning strike from Daniel Marlin, it really is.
Tielemans again with the ball into the box, headed down and over the bar. 0-0, short corner for Sancho, who drives it into the near post, completely unmarked. But Keller makes the save, rolls it down the right-hand side of the box for Rodgers. Early ball in for Marlin, who just couldn't poke it home. Checks his run and finds Tielemans in field at the right-hand corner of the box. Lofts the cross in, Marlin with a header, and it's in. And Daniel Marlin heads Villa in front. It was coming. Here's Rodgers, lovely skill to get away from Zukru. Finds Marlin, getting into the area. Space for a shot. 2-0. All too easy.
Really clinical, effective play.
Half cleared, only as far as Sancho, edge of the area. Gets it on his right. Good save. Bogard tucks it back to Concert just over the half wall, and now Camera takes over. Lovely through ball. Sancho's in space and drives it wide. Long ball forward for Montero. Fires it in. That's a great goal from Joel Montero.
What a brilliant goal that was.
The full-time whistle has gone, and Villa have made it 4 wins out of 5 in the Europa League. And as it stands, they've gone joint top of the table.
You are listening to the Conference League live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. At half-time here, it is Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 1. We have full second-half commentary to come shortly. But as you were just hearing there, Aston Villa continued their strong recent form with a 2-1 victory over Young Boys. It's their 10th win in their last 12 games in all competitions. But the former Aston Villa midfielder Andy Townsend said the scoreline wasn't a fair reflection of the game.
Look, they deserved their win. In the end, the scoreline was closer than it should have been. However, the game wasn't. The game, for 75, 80 minutes, it was all Villa. Young Boys, when they made a few changes, second half, just trying to get back in the game, actually had their best moments and scored a very good goal, had one chalked off. However, it was a pretty routine, pretty comfortable night for Aston Villa. They could and perhaps should have scored more, but that puts them in a very, very respectable position now in this Europa League table.
Andy Townsend there reacting to Aston Villa's Europa League victory over Young Boys live on Talksport 2 earlier this evening. Meanwhile, Martin O'Neill has likely signed off his reign as Celtic's interim manager with a 3-1 victory at Feyenoord. John Dunn was watching this one for Talksport.
Feyenoord 1, Celtic 3 is Martin O'Neill's parting gift. They win in Europe for the first time in 4 years. They came from behind, Uede giving Feyenoord the lead. Goals before half-time from Yang and then Atate giving Celtic a half-time lead. They controlled the second half and scored late thanks to Benjamin Nygren. Some superb work from Maeda to set things up. Celtic for the moment up to 17th full-time. Feyenoord 1, Celtic 3.
So that's the story of the British sides in action in the 5:45 kickoffs. Time now to look at some of the other stories from today, where the Liverpool manager Arne Slot has said he believes he still has the backing of the club's hierarchy despite the Reds' poor run of form. Last night's 4-1 defeat at home to PSV was Liverpool's 9th loss in their last 12 matches in all competitions. That's their worst run since way back in 1954. Despite the backing, Slot is acutely aware he's under big pressure to turn their fortunes around.
No, there's a lot of pressure if you work or play at a top club. And even more so if you start losing more games than this club or this players or this manager is used to. So then there's always pressure. But there was a lot of pressure last season as well for us to win the league. And now it's a different kind of pressure because we've lost so many games. But what it does to me, I can just do the same, but I don't have to play. So maybe my job is a little bit easier if it comes to this. Because I think it's hard for every player. If you are in a bad run of results, if you go down immediately after 3 minutes, and then you play a good first half, and then 10 minutes after halftime, again you concede. So we get knock after knock after knock, which is hard, but that's why I keep saying that, especially when that happens, we have to keep fighting, and that's what we've done so well last season, and what this club is about for so many years.
That's Arne Slot reacting to Liverpool's latest humiliating home defeat. Liverpool go to West Ham in the Premier League on Sunday. We'll be able to keep track of that game and all of the Premier League action on Game Day Live, which comes from Stamford Bridge this Sunday, where the top two in the Premier League go head-to-head as Chelsea take on Arsenal. Before that, we've got live and exclusive national radio commentary on Talksport of Crystal Palace against Manchester United. And at the moment, Palace are warming up for that game in style in France in the Conference League. Barco will take over, plays the ball into the penalty area. This is a chance, and it's a good save by Henderson at the near post. So plays it back towards his own byline. It's not a brilliant clearance away, brought down by Namiga, and then the effort towards the far corner. Henderson was scrambling, but it's wide. Mateta grappling on the edge of the penalty area. He does really well, Mateta. Into Tyreek Mitchell, chance for Palace, and Tyreek Mitchell finds the bottom corner. The left wing back for Palace breaks the deadlock.
That is top draw from Mateta. I mean, that is 101 hold up play.
Palace have the lead on the goalkeeper's miles off his line, and they've given the ball away, and it's hit the post from Ismail Assar. How has that stayed out? How indeed, Palace could easily be 2-0 up. They are a goal to the good at half-time. Tyreek Mitchell with the finish, but Leanne Sanderson alongside me is a former forward yourself. You are still waxing lyrical about Jean-Philippe Mateta, his hold-up play, and really laying that on a plate for the fullback.
Yeah, it's a skill, and as someone that played, number 9 for England, that was never my strength, but I was good at it. Does that make sense? It sounds weird because that's how they saw me, as that number 9, to hold up the ball. But it is an art. Emil Heskey, those types of players, they've kind of become obsolete, and I feel like Mateta, he's added that to his game. He's also added goals, and I said many times Crystal Palace were really lacking someone that could put the ball in the back of the net for so many years. And Nketiah came in last season. Everybody thought he was going to be that number 9. Edouard didn't really work out with him. Mateta now, they have that talisman that can hold the ball up and put the ball in the back of the net. And he put it on a plate for Mitchell. Yeah, Mitchell showed great composure. I like him a lot, but I love that from Mateta.
And in terms of this second half now, the next goal absolutely crucial, isn't it? If Strasbourg get it, that suddenly the crowd are re-engaged. They've got something to show for their efforts, but if Palace get it, it should be game over.
Yeah, for sure. I think Amiga's done a decent job up top for Strasbourg, but not really caused Lacroix and Gehi any problems in those situations. So it's happy days for them, in their three back that they're in. With Munoz and Mitchell going up on that left-hand side. I'm loving that battle with Doué as well. So I think for Palace, they've been professional in this game. I think the first 10-15 minutes wasn't the greatest of games. Very stop-start, a lot of turnover. But I think these types of nights for Crystal Palace are important.
Well, the Crystal Palace players are just waiting at the mouth of the tunnel, ready to come back out. Looks like there's going to be a change, Leanne, at half-time. Chris Richards, who was an injury doubt coming into the game, didn't start. He will be coming on. Will that be for JD Convo? Do you think? I can see Maxence Lacroix is certainly coming back out for the second half. You would imagine that Mark Gay will be as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're going to look to rest players. I don't think Convo's had his best half. There's a couple of chances. Yes, Strasbourg hasn't caused many problems, but the two opportunities they did have, Convo was out of position, let the ball go over his head in a couple of moments. So, and as we saw, Chilwell came on for Strasbourg in the last 5 minutes of the game as well. Looked like Hogberg was actually kind of sitting there. It didn't look like he was injured, so maybe that was something that Rossinia did. We'll have to wait and see, because someone...
That is brutal, isn't it?
That is brutal. Pulling someone 2 minutes before half-time, but again, it's modern-day football. It's what you've got to do. If you think that needs to happen and you don't want to let it be another 2-3 minutes, as we've seen at the end of halves now, Crookie, sometimes there could be 5 or 6 minutes added on, but that is ruthless from Rossinia.
Yeah, he's certainly got that in his locker, actually. People who know Lee and Rossinia, they just say he's a nice guy, but he's not afraid to make big decisions. He certainly made a big and bold decision there. Don't forget, coming up this weekend, we've got plenty of live football for you across the Talksport network. As I mentioned already, Crystal Palace back in action on Sunday. It's a midday kickoff, a high noon showdown at Selhurst Park between Palace and Manchester United. That game is live and exclusive to national radio over on Talksport. Tomorrow night here on Talksport 2, Oxford against Ipswich. Ipswich have finally found some form in the Championship. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff on Talksport 2. On Saturday, more Championship commentary as Stoke take on Hull. That's a 12:30 start here on Talksport 2, followed by the leaders Coventry at home to Charlton at 3 o'clock. At 8 o'clock on Talksport, we've got a London derby between Tottenham and Fulham from the Premier League. And a reminder, all 10 midweek fixtures, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, live across the Talksport network. The best way to stay across the action is by downloading the Talksport app. Confirmation of the change. It is Mark Gay who is making way, and is that to rest him for the weekend? Certainly Palace fans will be hoping so.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be that situation, but he is one of those players that I feel like they never take off, even to rest him. So maybe it's precautionary. They've obviously had to lose Will Hughes after 30 minutes. They have rotation in the midfield, as we know. Wharton's the one that usually starts. Will Hughes comes into the game. Lerman's been decent in this game, but hopefully for Crystal Palace fans, it is precautionary.
That's why it's so important, isn't it, for Palace to finish in the top 8 and avoid a two-legged playoff in this competition, because the squad isn't the deepest, and the last thing Oliver Glasner wants is more games.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it many times. What I love about Crystal Palace is they all know their roles and responsibilities. They're like cogs in an engine. Tactically, they are very, very good. Defensively, and on the attack, they've added goals. They were always lacking, like I said, a number 9 that could put the ball in the back of the net. It took Mateta a little while to get to that point, but now they've got someone that can do that. It makes a big difference, especially to the midfield, when you know you've got someone up there that can put the ball in the back of the net.
Well, we are back off and underway here on Talksport 2. Strasbourg 0, Palace 1. Crystal Palace all in yellow, shooting from left to right in this second half. Strasbourg in the blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks, attacking the goal away to our left, and straight away they're on the attack with the ball slid forward by Barco, but well dealt with by that new look Palace defence. The Palace team for this second half is Henderson in goal, Convo, Lacroix, and now Richards the back three, Munoz and Mitchell the wing backs, Wharton and Lerma in midfield with Sarr and Pino out wide, and Jean-Philippe Mateta in attack. That's not a great clearance by Penders in the Strasbourg goal, but Pino content just to let the ball trickle out for a throw on the far side. There's an apologetic right arm in the air from Penders. Strasbourg, who have Penders, the Chelsea loanee, in goal. Doué, Chilwell, Sarr and Barco in defence, with Decore dropping in when they're out of possession. Murabet, Nanasi, Enciso and Moreira in midfield, and then their captain Emmanuel Amiga leading the line up front. Their main goal scorer, Joaquin Panicelli, 10 goals in 16 games, still on the bench as the long throw is straight into the arms of Penders.
It's a weird one as well, because I actually thought Barco was one of their best players in the first half. He's listed as a defender, a left back, but he hasn't spent one moment in that back line really. He's almost been in a central defensive midfield role, kind of pulling the strings from there, which is quite a surprise really. Maybe that's something Rossini has used as a tactic to maybe catch Palace off guard.
Well, here is Barco picking up possession on the D on the edge of the Strasbourg penalty. It's a lovely raking pass upfield, picking out Doué, who stayed onside, crosses into the area. Convo there, and in fact he hadn't stayed onside because the flag goes up and it's a free kick for Crystal Palace, who lead 1-0.
Yeah, definitely a tactic that they are using, and I'm surprised that Oli Glasner at half-time hadn't said that, because they'd obviously probably catered for Barco playing in the left-back position. Now he's in the central defensive midfield role, and it's almost like Will Hughes would have had that responsibility, who his player was in there. Now Wharton's gone in there, who is his player, so it's because Barco's dropping in there, he's having a field there. I think Lerma has to be aware he was in there in the first half of the entire game, so he's got to maybe have a look over his shoulder, because I think that is causing, they're not really causing Palace a lot of problems, but the problems that are being caused are from Barco dropping into that area and pinging balls.
48 minutes gone, Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 1. A goal from Tyreek Mitchell 10 minutes before half-time. Ismail Assar denied by the post soon after. Strasbourg have scored in 16 of their 18 games in all competitions this season. I'm sure Oliver Glasner is aware of the threat that they pose in attack. That's why he'll be hoping for the second goal to kill off any hopes of a French fight back. Richards, with the afro haircut, nods the ball forward. Chilwell stooping, wins it back for Strasbourg, and here is Amiga, who's been largely starved of service, but he's won a free kick there, is he, for a late challenge by Richards.
I have to take another look at this one, Crookie, because I actually thought Richards, I understand why he was given the foul initially. I thought he actually got the ball. I like Chris Richards. He's one of those players that I think since he came to Palace, he's US men's national team international, I think he's been alright for Palace when he has played.
Well, he will be part of the USA squad at the World Cup on home soil next summer. A reminder, Talksport live in New York and Washington next week for that World Cup draw. 48 teams in the hat. Find out who England and Scotland and any of the home nations who qualify via the playoffs will be facing once the tournament gets underway in June. I know Drive coming live from the Big Apple before the main event itself in Washington on Friday. We've played 50 minutes here on Talksport 2. It's Strasbourg 0, Crystal Palace 1. Munoz coming across there and poking the ball out of play under pressure from Moreira. Throw-in taken quickly by Strasbourg, and Enciso tried to catch Henderson off his line, but loops the cross-come shot straight into the arms of the Palace keeper.
Yeah, I think that's what Ben Chilwell has in his locker. You can see he looked up for Moreira in that situation. It was a lovely first touch down this left-hand side. Munoz does really well to just bite a little bit and win the ball.
Ball played up to Mateta again, can't make it stick this time, as he did so superbly in the build-up to Tyreek Mitchell's only goal of the night. That's a foul by Ismail Assar off the ball, and the referee has given a free kick for Strasbourg. Murabet feeling the force of the challenge. We've played 6 largely uneventful minutes since half-time. Leanne Sanderson.
Yeah, I don't think it's been the greatest of games, to be fair, Crookie. I think the first 15, 20 minutes, a lot of turnover. I think, Penders seems to fancy himself almost playing like a sweeper keeper. And I think at some point we've seen a couple of opportunities. Mateta's tried to hit one. Sar's had an opportunity. He's playing really, really high.
Yeah, and clearly that's something that the Palace analysts will have picked out as part of their preparation for this game. No stone left unturned these days. Here is Ben Chilwell, the former Premier League champion, part of that incredible Leicester City side that defied odds of 5,000 to 1 to win the league. Again, Penders comes all the way to the centre of the Strasbourg half to just side-foot the ball forward. Here's Decore over on the right-hand side. Palace content to let Strasbourg dominate possession without really looking like penetrating their defence to this point since half-time. Moreira back to Chilwell again.
I think Chilwell coming in that position, though, Crookie, does present another problem for Palace, because Hogsberg that went off doesn't have that delivery on the left foot. You can see Chilwell's looking every single time for that delivery on the left.
Well, it is a back three now, isn't it, with Decore going in there with Chilwell and Sarr. You've got Moreira playing very advanced as a left wing back, or actually it's Ciso who's just taken up that position, and then Doué is the right wing back. That enables Barco to float alongside El Mourabet in midfield, and then Moreira is up there in support of Amiga. Wharton meanwhile forward to Sarr for Palace, and he tries to play the ball forward for Munoz, but it's won back by El Mourabet. A bit of space here for Strasbourg, into Moreira, into the penalty area, looks for the far post, and there's the equaliser, steered in by Emmanuel Amiga. Well, it all started with a loose pass from Sarr at one end, and Ciso and Mourabet immediately set Strasbourg on the counter. It was a wonderfully weighted ball into Moreira. He just picked out the run of Amiga, and he side foots beyond Henderson to make it 1-1.
I'm telling you now, I know I spoke about Barco a lot in this game, but it's this little Cruyff turn he does on the halfway line to Enciso, which allows the play to open up. Then they get down the left-hand side. It was a lovely ball into Amiga, and he didn't even catch it truly by the time the ball came to him. He kind of hits it on the bottom of his foot, but who cares? And I said it didn't even look like Strasbourg were going to cause Palace any problems, but they broke so well there. Completely went through the midfield of Palace centrally. The first time they've really been able to do that. I was going to be complimentary previously of the midfield of Palace because Strasbourg couldn't get through them. The one time they did, they punished Palace, and it was a good goal from Strasbourg.
Amiga with his 7th goal of the season for the Dutch international, and it changes the whole mood inside the stadium. Crystal Palace know they're in a game now, 1-1. Not a disastrous result by any stretch of the imagination, but how costly now that effort struck against the post by Ismail Assar in the first half, moments after Tyreek Mitchell put the FA Cup holders in front.
I mean, I would say that was against the run of play, to be honest. I don't think Strasbourg have really had an opportunity where they've gone back to front that quickly in this entire game.
Moreira into Enciso in the penalty area again. Moreira takes over, shoots right-footed, blocked by Lacroix. Palace really under the cosh now. Doué down that right-hand side, skips away from a couple of Palace players, one back by Lerma, and he just hooks the ball out for a throw, just to try and relieve some of the pressure that Liam Rosenior's men are piling on now early in the second half. 55 minutes gone on Talksport 2. It's Strasbourg 1, Crystal Palace 1 in the Conference League.
The biggest difference, Crookie, Mark Gahey's gone off the pitch, and I think, you know, I'm not just saying it's all down to one player, but I don't think that goal gets scored if Mark Gahey's on there. I think, you know, his tactical awareness, his ability to orchestrate the rest of the back line. You know, Chris Richards has come in there. It wasn't his fault for the goal, but, you know, he's biting into the midfield, and I think Lacroix alongside Gahey looks more comfortable in those areas, and they didn't get through once in the first half, and the only difference now is Gahey's gone off.
Yeah, well, Palace fans listening will be hoping that is just precautionary ahead of the game live on Talksport against Manchester United on Sunday, but certainly they look a lot more vulnerable without their skipper. Maybe a glimpse into the future. Gay's contract expiring at the end of the season, and certainly no indication that he will sign a new deal. He's close to joining Liverpool on the final day of this summer's transfer window before Oliver Glasner intervened. There are only so many top quality players you can allow to leave before it starts to have a detrimental effect on results. Here's Jefferson Lerma in the white footwear. Back to Dean Henderson. His hopes of a 10th clean sheet in 19 games this season dashed by that Strasbourg equaliser early in the second half. And it's the French team, the home team, who are really dominating the play now. Back with Enciso on halfway. Ben Chilwell forward to El Mourabet, who played a big part in the build-up to that equalising goal. Sarr out to the right-hand side, moving the ball neatly again here. Strasbourg. Barco forward to Nanasi, looking for that run of Moreira, who's just peeling away on the shoulder of Munoz again. Moreira to Enciso on the edge of the box. Enciso shoots, and he shoots wide.
Yeah, I think in this second half, Palace look a little bit tired centrally. I think Glasner will probably be making a substitute at some point soon. Lerma just looks a little bit leggy. Maybe Kamada will come into the game. definitely something needs to change, because it's amazing what a goal can do. Momentum is really with Strasbourg at this moment in time, when I would say Crystal Palace looked like they were kind of, controlling the tempo of the game. I wouldn't say in cruise control and getting complacent, but I do think they look a little bit leggy centrally.
Forest have got a third at home to Malmo. Over on Talksport, Nikola Milenkovic. So Palace for the second game in succession, helping themselves to 3. Rangers also in front at home to Braga. James Tavernier with the penalty in that game, giving Danny Roll's side the lead. And in the Conference League, it's still Shamrock 0, Shakhtar 1 over in Ireland. And here, live on Talksport 2, it's Strasbourg 1, Crystal Palace 1. We play 58 minutes. Convey trying to play it forward for Palace, but he isn't the most comfortable in possession. He's given the ball away to Doué. Amiga wanted it played quickly. Intercepted by Maxence Lacroix and played back to the goalkeeper Henderson.
Yeah, I mean, Amiga shouldn't really be causing this many problems. And Sisso's also gone a little bit higher, not necessarily in a 4-4-2, but he's a little bit higher alongside Amiga. But I think in the first half, it was happy days for Lacroix and Gahey in those moments. But I think Rossini is sniffing that Palace are looking a little bit on the back foot, a little bit under the cosh. And I think this is the moment where Strasbourg, if they are going to get another goal, it'll be sooner rather than later, because the momentum is with them.
Certainly is. Whatever Liam Rossini has said at half-time has had the desired effect. 100 goals now under his stewardship. I did say, coming into the second half, they usually get at least a goal, Strasbourg, and so it's proved. As Henderson rolls the ball out to the edge of his penalty area, and Lacroix, Convey forward to Ismail Assar. Chilwell coming across and winning it back for Strasbourg. I have to say that's been a change that's certainly worked to Strasbourg's advantage. Chilwell coming on towards the end of the first half for Hogsburg, who didn't cover himself in glory for the Palace opener, bullied by Mateta before Tyreek Mitchell fired in the far post.
I mean, I know hindsight's a great thing, and I'm not saying Chilwell was having a worldie, but he's been excellent since he come into the game, and it leads me to believe, why was he on the bench? There's a lot of incentives there. I think Chilwell's
mistake at the heart of the Strasbourg back line, and Wharton, who's never scored for Palace, he's just hammered against the crossbar. Here is Pino, and his cross-come shot is blocked behind by Murabet. Wharton puts his hands on his head. It was a mistake by Decore, seized upon by Wharton. The goalkeeper again was off his line, and I think Adam Wharton should have made it 2-1 Palace. He got underneath the shot and it hits the bar and rebounds away.
I mean, all day long. I mean, Decore, what is he doing there? They were in their build-up play. Palace wasn't even pressing them. Penders also plays the ball centrally, which I'm quite surprised he did. It was a good press. I think Wharton, we really disappointed. Similar to Sarr, that chance from Wharton there, I think that's easy for him. He could probably squat out with his eyes closed, Crookie.
Well, they've hit the woodwork twice now, Palace, and it stays 1-1. Corner for the visitors from South London. Wharton with a deep delivery. Lacroix up there with a header and wide.
Lacroix did well. There was a fantastic ball in from Wharton. Lovely height, lovely weight. Lacroix gets up well, heads it into the ground, and it goes wide.
Well, they've had a couple of really good chances there, Crystal Palace, in quick succession. A reminder, this game brought to you by TNT Sports, the home of European football. And Palace agonisingly close to retaking the lead. Looks like there's going to be a substitution here. Moreira landed awkwardly, but it's a Palace change, and Eddie Nketiah is being readied.
Yeah, I think this makes sense. I think they need a little bit more fresh legs. Be interested to see if Mateta is the player most likely that will come out with the game against Manchester United in the back of their mind. But this game is still there for the taking. If they're not, Palace have to be careful with, because they've been under the cosh the last 10 minutes or so. So I'll be interested to see if they keep Mateta on and bring Nketiah on alongside with Sarr, or do they rest Mateta?
Well, just looking at the in-play table, this result would leave Palace in 11th place. Of course, the top 8 qualify automatically for the round of 16. Strasbourg would be in 7th position if the scores stay as they are. And it does look as though Jean-Philippe Mateta is coming off, and well, his wait for a first goal in the Conference League proper goes on. And Eddie Nketiah, who scored a couple of times off the bench this season, is on to replace Palace's number 14.
It was like you already knew, Crookie, that he was coming off. It was almost like maybe Ollie Glasner said to him, give me 60 minutes tonight, and then you're coming out, because he was already walking off the pitch as soon as, before the assistant referee even put the ball down. But I think it's been a good game for Mateta. Good 60 minutes.
Seems to be a bit of an issue with the assistant referee's earpiece here. That's why we've got a bit of a stoppage in place. Being patched up by a UEFA delegate. It stays Strasbourg 1, Crystal Palace 1. Earlier tonight, we brought you live commentary here on Talksport 2 of Aston Villa's Europa League win against Young Boys. They beat them by 2-1. Forest 3 up on Malmo over on Talksport in that competition right now. Rangers also lead Braga in the Europa League by Galton, and it's Shamrock Rovers 0, Shakhtar 1, Aberdeen meanwhile 1-1 with Noah in the Conference League. Big final half an hour to come here for Crystal Palace. I mentioned earlier, the last thing that Oliver Glasner really wants is to have to navigate a two-legged playoff early next year with the squad already stretched. And of course, they're in the quarter-finals of the EFL Cup as well. They go to Arsenal just before Christmas. That'll be live on Talksport. Chris Richards winning the ball high up the field for Palace. Munoz can't get away from Moreira though. Moreira immediately rolls it forward to Amiga. There was JD Combo helping it back to the goalkeeper Henderson, who clears upfield high into the French sky on a chilly night across the channel. And Chilwell taking no chances, just toe pokes the ball out for a Palace throw. 5 yards shy of the penalty area on this near side, the right.
Yeah, I think Ben Chilwell, as I was saying, Crook, he's done well since to come into the game, but I think one thing that holds him back is almost like an old school fullback, isn't he? I don't think he gets up and down enough. I think he's got a fantastic delivery, but as we know, fullbacks now, they have to have both on both sides of the ball. They're almost like sometimes a third centre forward, aren't they? Getting up and down the left or the right. And I just feel like he doesn't have that enough. He just needs to get a little bit higher. It's not his game though, is it?
No, it certainly isn't. Jefferson Lerma, long throw into the penalty area. Richards up there to try and help it on. Hooked away by Barco. Tyreek Mitchell, the Palace goal scorer, just lofts it back into the area. And Ketia brings it down well. Sarr with a shot. He was off balance. And it skews wide for a goal kick for Strasbourg.
It was a lovely touch from Nketiah, because again, it was a hit and hope ball. Similarly to how they scored that first goal in the first half when Mateta held it up. It was a lovely touch. Mitchell just hits it in to a danger area, and Nketiah puts it on the plate almost for Sarr, but couldn't quite catch up for it.
Strasbourg 1, Palace 1, 25 minutes to play in France. Palace victorious away from home against Dynamo Kyiv. Beat RZ at home by 3-1, but lost to Larnaca as well. And that's why they find themselves outside the top 8 as it stands. Barco had a really good game, playing the ball forward to the Nassi, out to the right-hand side for Strasbourg. Here's Doué. He's a real box of tricks as well. It's been a good battle between him and Tyreek Mitchell. Mitchell sticking gamely to the task there and retrieving possession for Palace. Pino slides it infield for Sarr. Lerma hits it against Barco, but the loose ball is mopped up by Lacroix with a header clear. Can't keep it, Palace. Barco wriggling away from the attentions of Ismaila Sarr, and it's back now with Decore inside the Strasbourg half. Certainly much improved in possession, the home team, since half-time. Chilwell on the ball now has played a part in that. Forward to Encisos. Dragged Richards out of position. Then lays it off for Chilwell. Richards has stayed forward momentarily. Here's Moreira in the left wing position for Strasbourg. They're going to go all the way back now for the goalkeeper Penders.
I think thankfully for Crystal Palace, Moreira isn't getting on the ball enough. He isn't really causing any problems for Munoz. I think he's looked bright when he has had it, but his movement isn't allowing him to really get on the ball. And I'm quite surprised Strasbourg's front three are not trying to get on the ball a little bit more and be a little bit more direct. I think a lot of the ball has been in Strasbourg's defensive half, hasn't it?
Yeah, Moreira, the only time he really wriggled free was in providing the assist for the equalising goal. Tucked home with the far post by Emmanuel Amiga, the Dutchman. Tyreek Mitchell having put Palace in front 10 minutes before half-time. 1-1 the score. Over on Talksport, Forest lead Malmo in the Europa League by 3-0. Another good night for Sean Dyche at the City Ground. Forest at home to Brighton in the Premier League on Sunday. Another game you can keep tabs on by tuning into Game Day Live, which comes live from Chelsea against Arsenal. Munoz has been penalised for a foul on Moreira. He's got a yellow card for his troubles, Daniel Munoz.
Really unnecessary.
In fact, it's Lacroix. Munoz was the second foul. Lacroix penalised for an earlier infringement. He was wrapping his arms around Amiga.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a booking all day long. He's literally got his arms around him like WWE style. But I was quite surprised. I didn't expect Strasbourg to really cause Palace any problems in the first half. They didn't really look like scoring. And then they've had one shot and they've scored, haven't they?
Yeah, pretty much the only time that Dean Henderson has been tested, with the Palace goalkeeper picking the ball out of the back of his own net.
You could say clinical.
You could indeed. Here's Enciso trying to be clinical again. Strasbourg cross blocked by Richards, and Palace maybe can counter here with Munoz in the full-back position. And then there was a grappling match between Eddie Nketiah and Samir El Mourabet. Referee saw nothing wrong with that, and Strasbourg have the ball back with Barco. Barco chips it over the top, looking for Amiga, who brings it down. Oh, the touch was poor, and it's smashed upfield by Convo. Another good piece of play by Valentin Barco, though.
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's probably been my favourite player to watch in this game today. That hasn't been on Crystal Palace. I think Barco has been excellent in this game. Lovely delivery with the left foot. And to be fair to Amigo, I'd probably expect the touch to be a bit better in this moment. It was quite strange. He tried to control it on his right foot, and then he's almost controlled it like it's come over his head and it's gone behind him.
You are listening to Strasbourg against Crystal Palace in the Conference League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Still not sold, on JD Convo. I've seen him a couple of times now in that defeat at home to Larnaca when he was at fault for the goal, and he just doesn't look comfortable to me.
I agree with you on that one. I think, there's not been a lot of pressure from Strasbourg, but when it has come, he's looked a little bit off.
He is still a teenager, the £20 million summer signing from Toulouse, so maybe we need to give him the benefit of the doubt. Here's Pino, stands the ball into the penalty area, nodded down and picked up by Nketiah, and Jefferson Lerma, or was it Sarah? There it was Lerma at the far post. His shot charged down. Brave piece of defending by Decore, and the ball goes behind for a Palace corner.
Yeah, I was waiting for the net to ripple, but it was lovely last minute defending from Decore, because Sarr looked like he was just going to slot it in the bottom right hand corner.
It's only their third corner of the game, Crystal Palace. 20 minutes to go, 1-1. It's going to be whipped in from the left-hand side, right-footed. In-swinging by Jeremy Pino. Over the head of the goalkeeper, Richards nods it down across the 6-yard box, and, well, he was looking there, I think, for Convo, who's gone down the heap. I just wonder if he had enough time there to maybe get a shot away, Richards, with a header.
I was thinking that, it's really unselfish from Richards. To be fair, there wasn't a lot of pace on the ball, but I do think he probably could have gone for goal in that moment. The ball goes to the back post, maybe headed it back across goal. He could understand what he was trying to do, because there was Sarr and Convo on the back post, but I do think he could have probably had an attempt on goal himself.
Well, this is better from Crystal Palace, though, starting to retake control of the game, as Nketiah is denied a chance to get a shot away by a good piece of defending on the edge of the box. Amiga back to Doué, who wanted to play the ball forward quickly, but opted in the end just to keep possession for the team in blue. And now Mike Penders, again a long way outside his penalty area, rolls it out to his left, and Ben Chilwell. 1-1 the score with 20 minutes of normal time to play. Water wins it back for Palace, but his pass is away from Nketiah, and now Strasbourg can come forward with Nanasi. Amiga has his pocket picked by Mitchell, and Palace in possession again, but Nketiah tried to turn it round the corner for Sarr and gave it away cheaply. That's crept into their game in this second half. Barco, good ball over the top. El Mourabet, chance for Amiga. 6 yards out, goes down. Oh, there were a couple of Palace players trying to block his route to goal. I don't think there was enough contact for a penalty. Convo and Lacroix both trying to make it awkward for Amiga, and I think in the end he just didn't get his strike away.
El Mourabet does fantastically well there. I think Amiga's got to put that in the back of the net. I don't think it was a foul. I understand why they would appeal for it, but it was beautiful play from Strasbourg. And Enciso does a lovely little touch to Barco again, who I keep saying he's been fantastic in this game. And Amiga, I think he just takes his eye off the ball. To be fair to Convo and Lacroix, they do enough just to put him off, but I don't think that's a foul at all. I think he's just got to slot it in the back of the net.
Another warning sign for Crystal Palace, though. Moreira knocks the ball away from Richards, claims he was being obstructed by Richards, wants a free kick. The referee says throw. I think he's had a good game, actually, the Spanish official. As Enciso is dispossessed by Richards on the corner of the penalty area. Forward to Pino. Pino helps it on to Nketiah. Looking to wriggle away Eddie Nketiah. And he's adjudged to have fouled Sarr. And it's a free kick for Strasbourg. It stays 1-1.
Yeah, you can understand what Nketiah was trying to do, just trying to spin Sarr in that moment. They were both of the last players. So if he went away, Nketiah, and Sarr brings him down, it's a red card and he's in. But yeah, I think it was a referee. And I agree with you. I think the ref's done a really good job. It's not often that we say that. So we have to give credit where it's due.
Here's Valentin Barco. He's very much been the main playmaker as far as Strasbourg are concerned. Good slide tackle by Richards to win it back from Enciso. Forward to Sarr. Can't keep the ball though, Palace, and then there was a late challenge on Jeremy Pino. It's going to be a Strasbourg yellow card and a free kick in a dangerous position here for Crystal Palace with the score at 1-1. Pino not been able to have quite the impact on the game that he did at Molineux in the Premier League on Saturday. A goal and assist to help Palace to a 2-0 victory. It's El Mourabet who's been booked for that challenge.
Yeah, it's an interesting position for Crystal Palace because it's a good position, but it's one of those ones. It's almost like you hit it, the positioning of it almost runs through to the goalkeeper. You dink it over the wall. It's too far out to shoot. So I'd be looking for Palace now to just kind of pop it around in and around the 18-yard box to try and get a shot off.
We're going to see a double change here from Strasbourg, and their goal scorer Emmanuel Amiga is one of those who is being replaced along with Sebastian Nanasi. And Panicelli, the player we were talking about, 10 goals in 16 games this season, is going to be the main focal point of the attack now for the home side. And also another Chelsea connection now on the pitch in the form of Kendry Paez on loan, the Ecuador international. As the ball is nodded down inside the penalty area by Jefferson Lerma and cleared away by Chilwell for a throw over on the far side by the left corner flag.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were quite surprised that Panicelli wasn't starting in this game. But Chilwell comes over there, quite erratic in the end, a little bit more composure was in. He didn't really need to just whack it out of bounds. He had more time. But that's down to his goalkeeper in Penders in the back line to kind of give him that information.
So another Palace long throw here. 15 minutes to find a winner. 1-1 the score. Headed away by Panicelli, and Barco could counter here for Strasbourg. Pokes the ball forward. Looking for Paez, but the ball is given away. Palace have it back with Daniel Munoz deep inside their own territory away to our left.
I'm interested to see what Crystal Palace are going to do in his last 15 minutes plus stoppage time, because this result for Strasbourg, I think they'll be happy with it.
Henderson with the ball up forward, bounces around on the edge of the penalty area. And Nketiah into Munoz. Sarr steps over it. Pino with the effort. Great save by the goalkeeper. Penders down to his right. It was a wonderfully worked move by Crystal Palace. Pino will be disappointed he's not scored, but the goalkeeper there showing maybe why he's rated so highly at Stamford Bridge. Here come Strasbourg at the other end. Enciso leading the charge, tries to cross into the penalty area, and they've got a handball. Free kick 4 yards outside the box. All of a sudden this game is end-to-end, Leanne Sanderson.
I was just about to say that. Where has this game gone, Crookie? Where has it been for the last 75 minutes? But that is some save from Penders. Crystal Palace did so well here. They created an overload down the left. Pino played it, Munoz had it, and it's a fantastic save from Penders in that moment. Pino has to put it in the back of the net for me from that position. You know, he's 7 yards out, and then they go straight down the other end, and Ciso hits it into Lacroix. It's a difficult one because Lacroix has almost his hand by his side. There's not really much he can do in that moment, and this is a fantastic position for Strasbourg from the left-hand side to get it up and over the wall. Interesting one for Dean Henderson.
Well, he does have a habit, Julio Enciso, of coming up with the odd wonder goal. He is one of the two Strasbourg players over the free kick. I'll probably make him favourite coming in with the right foot from the left-hand side. It's just to the left of centre. It is Enciso, right-footed off the underside of the crossbar, but the rebound is turned in by Almurabet, and Strasbourg take the lead against Crystal Palace. It was a wonderful hit initially by Enciso off the crossbar. Henderson wrong-footed, and Samir El Murabet just steers in the rebound to make it Strasbourg 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Fair play, El Murabet, fair play, Strasbourg. It was a lovely free kick from Enciso, because those ones look easy, but it's getting up and over the wall from 20 or so yards out. It's not an easy technique, and Penders is going absolutely crazy. He's blowing kisses to the fans because he knows that save, the save that he made, they went straight down the other end, got the foul, got the handball, and to be fair, Crystal Palace just did not react quick enough. It was such a quick hit off the crossbar. Dean Henderson has no chance in that moment. El Murabet was just the first to react, and it was a lovely little touch. But to be fair, Strasbourg, I think, have deserved it.
From 1-0 down at half-time, Liam Rossigna's men have turned it right around in this second half, and Crystal Palace are staring down the barrel of what could be a pretty costly defeat away from home in terms of automatic qualification for the round of 16. They were outside the top 8, even at 1-1. They'll definitely be outside it now, unless they can stage a late salvage act. 12 minutes to go. It is Strasbourg 2, Crystal Palace 1, but Palace have a throw down by the right corner flag, which Jefferson Lerma is about to hoist into the area. Boos and wolf whistles from the Strasbourg fans behind the goal. Headed down, but not really away inside the penalty area. Sarr can't get the ball out from under his studs, and it is cleared now. El Murabet, with adrenaline bursting through his veins, finds Enciso down the Strasbourg left. They look a threat now, Strasbourg, every time they come forward. Deep cross from Enciso, punched away by Henderson, and I think really he could have caught it. It's gone out for a throw.
I mean, I know it's easy to say, but I keep saying it. Mark Gahey going off at half-time. Palace back line have looked all over the place. I don't even think it's just the back line. I think when you take a player off of that magnitude, it kind of filters throughout the team. And that's what it seems to have happened in the second half. Palace just haven't shown up. They haven't come out of the changing room.
You are listening to Strasbourg against Crystal Palace in the Conference League, live on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. 10 minutes for Crystal Palace to find an equaliser. They trail by 2-1 here on Talksport 2. Earlier tonight we brought you Aston Villa 2, Young Boys 1. Braga equalised against Rangers at Ibrox 1-1 now, despite the fact the visitors are down to 10 men. And over on Talksport, Nottingham Forest in cruise control. They leave Malmo in the Europa League by 3-0. Well, what a turnaround in this second half by Strasbourg. Credit to Liam Rossigna. I mentioned that only Marseille have won here away from home this season. That looked under threat when Palace took the lead through Tyreek Mitchell in the 35th minute, but second half goals from Emmanuel Amiga and Samir El Murabet, the Moroccan, have put the home side on the cusp of a famous victory.
I still think Palace have the quality, you know, at least to nick one back. In the second half, they've certainly looked stifled. And fair play to Strasbourg, because first half, they didn't really look like they were causing Crystal Palace any sorts of problems. And if this stays this way, you've got to give credit to Liam Rossigna, because whatever he said at half-time, tactical tweaks as well, bringing Chilwell on just before the end of the first half, looked like an interesting decision, to say the least. Looks like Palace are making a sub now as well, Crookie.
Yeah, Daichi Kamada, another of those who was rested from the starting 11, is coming on for Jefferson Lerma. I think a more attack-minded midfielder, but again probably highlights that lack of squad depth that I was talking about, that when you're chasing a goal away from home, it's one central midfielder coming on for another.
Yeah, and I think Lerma's looked, in the first half he was pinging balls on a dime, it was fantastic. I think the second half he's looked a little bit leggy, and it's interesting because Mateta obviously went off in the 60th minute. Mark Gahey's gone off at half-time, so Is it that Ollie Glasner's okay with this type of result? You know, yet to be determined, because I'm not saying he's come here and he's okay with losing.
Wharton with the ball forward to Pino. He just about timed his run to stay onside. Here's Ismail Sarr into the penalty area, shoots right footed, good block by Decore. Do wonder if Sarr could have got the shot away earlier. Here's Richards up from the back. Wharton with the scoop ball towards the far post, but straight into the arms of Penders, and he collapses on top of the ball. The unknown Chelsea goalkeeper just to waste a few precious seconds.
Yeah, it's interesting because by the time the ball fell to Sarr, he couldn't quite get his shot off, and Decore did fantastically well to defend it, but I think Pino did look offside to me, so if he was to put that in the back of the net, he probably would have been checked. It looked about 2 yards off to me.
Penders with a volley ball upfield, collected by Enciso in the left wing position. He's been really impressive in the second half, and he's managed to carve another opportunity, and it's a brilliant save by Dean Henderson to keep Crystal Palace in this game. It was Paez off the bench with a right-footed effort, and it needed a strong left hand by Henderson to turn it over the bar for a corner.
Great play from Enciso. He's really come alive in this second half. Paez does everything right, cuts it, drops the shoulder. It was a lovely save from Dean Henderson, brilliant save. But I will say Paez needed to have a little bit more composure in front of goal. He just looks like he tries to break the net instead of trying to bend it in. But they're creating a lot more chances this second half.
Barco with a corner, 8 minutes to play. Palace 2-1 down in Strasbourg. Good ball in by Barco, headed away as far as Enciso on the edge of the box. His first instinct is always to go on the attack, and he's been tripped by Wharton. It's going to be a free kick right in the corner of the penalty area.
They've lost their way quite a bit in the second half because Enciso seems like he's come alive, getting a little bit more space in and around the 18-yard box. Wharton lunges in there a little bit. I've been very complimentary of him during this game and previously, but I think these free kicks in and around the box, as we saw the previous one, is how they scored. With El Mourabat getting the rebound and deflection. Good area again for them on the edge of the box.
6 minutes of normal time to play. Crystal Palace teetering on the brink of defeat in a game they led 1-0 at half-time. Standing over the ball is Diego Moreira. Takes a big intake of breath, the former Chelsea man, and he's going to fire this towards the left corner, tipped over by Henderson for a corner.
Yeah, well done, Dean Henderson. He was kind of backpedaling, comfortable for the keeper, but it's just like shooting practice in his second half for Strasbourg. There's not really anyone defending in front of Dean Henderson. No, even on the one that hit the bar and it came back for El Mourabat to put it in, they've just been flat on their heels a little bit, Palace, in this second half.
Valentin Barco milking the applause from the Strasbourg supporters behind Henderson's goal. At the moment, Strasbourg seem to have Palace exactly where they want them, leading 2-1, and on the attack, Barco headed away at the near post by Munoz, but they can't get out Palace at the moment. Moreira with the ball back into the area, watched behind by Combo, and it's going to be a goal kick for the Eagles.
Yeah, Crystal Palace just need to go back to basics a little bit, possess the ball. I still think they've got another opportunity in them, but the momentum is clearly right now with Strasbourg. They still look like they're keeping the momentum and the tempo. Strasbourg, the first half I thought they were quite pedestrian in their build-up. The second half, they've taken it to another level, and I think it's caught Crystal Palace by surprise.
And of course, this is Crystal Palace, who lost Will Hughes relatively early in the first half to injury. Mark Gay, their captain, didn't come out after half-time. It'll be interesting to know if that was pre-planned or if he's an injury doubt for the game live on Talksport against Manchester United on Sunday. Mateta sacrificed as well midway through the second half, presumably to rest him for that big game at Selhurst. Just exposes the lack of options really that Oliver Glasner has at his disposal. Palace competing on 4 fronts this season, and that's why it's so important that they force their way into the top 8 in the Conference League, but their hopes of doing so are suffering a real setback here. And it's another yellow card as Paez goes down theatrically, having been caught in the face by Convo. So a booking for the Frenchman. That's the second Palace, or third Palace yellow card, I should say.
You know what, Crookie? When I first saw it, I thought he looked really soft, but he's actually quite fortunate. I mean, the ref is kind of insinuating an elbow, and it was just unnecessary for Convo to do that in that moment. I mean, he's quite fortunate they're not taking a look at that. I know they've already given a yellow.
Well, yeah, and that means that VAR
they can't
intervene but it's not dissimilar to the sending off that I saw last night in the game I was watching at the Parc des Princes. Luis Hernandez of Paris Saint-Germain sent off late on for elbowing Xavi Simons, and Liam Rossini doesn't look particularly impressed with it, does he?
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. I mean, the one last night with Hernandez was poor as well. You know, they're winning the game, but when I saw players go down, I thought, oh, you know, he's making a meal of it. But at the same time, I think he is quite fortunate. I think in the future that's something that needs to be changed, Crookie. I mean, we could talk about VAR till next year, which is actually relatively soon when we say next year, but I do think that has to be a rule that needs to be changed, because to me, that looked like a red card.
I'm sure Liam Rossini will have something to say about that if Crystal Palace can come back and snatch an equaliser late on. It's now Shamrock Rovers 1, Shakhtar 2 in the Conference League, and just looking at the as it stands table, Palace would be down in 18th place as a result of this defeat. 2 wins and 2 draws from their 4 matches. Only a couple of points outside the top 8. It's Leri Concertina. De Sá finds Pino on the edge of the area, and Pino, leaning backwards, hammers his shot high over the bar.
And that's what I was saying to you, Crookie, about what are the pros and cons of these competitions for clubs like Crystal Palace. How seriously are they taking this type of competition? Because Gehi's gone off at half-time, Mateta's gone off after 60 minutes. But at the same time, I never predicted this at all. At half-time, I'm sure Glasner thought the team he put back out there in the second half were going to be absolutely fine. I mean, the way the Strasbourg played in the second half has caught everybody by surprise, because first half I thought they were really poor. Second half performance has been excellent from them, and I'm sure Oli Glasner did not expect this at all.
Well, their final 2 matches, Crystal Palace, away from home in Ireland against Shelbourne. I know that's a trip that a lot of their supporters are particularly looking forward to. And then they play a team called KUPS from Finland. So you would imagine that should be 6 points from their last 2 games. And that probably would be enough to force their way into the top 8. But they've made it difficult, haven't they, if they lose this game, having already been beaten at home by Larnaca in what was a real upset.
But that's what I'm saying, that this competition, though, they never expected to lose to AK Larnaca at home. So it's not a foregone conclusion. And like I said, I'm not saying they're not taking it seriously, but for the fans that have travelled, to Strasbourg, they want to see their team put on a performance, and they've got Manchester United in the back of their mind, no doubt.
Well, what it does mean is that that last group game at home against the Finnish side should be very much alive in terms of a top 8 finish. If it is, you'll hear it here on Talksport 2 as Strasbourg win a corner. 30 seconds of normal time to play. They lead by 2-1 on a night when Tyreek Mitchell fired Palace in front in the first half, but Strasbourg under Liam Rossini have come storming back to lead in the second, and they're in no real hurry to take this corner kick, are they? Understandably so, with literally seconds of the 90 minutes remaining. Barco and Panicelli, the 2 players over the ball. Panicelli just trying to keep it down by the corner. One back well by Pino, and then Munoz plays it against Moreira, and wins a throw for Palace with 4 added minutes to play here on Talksport 2. Nketiah flicks the ball forward and then punted over the halfway line by Pino, but nobody in a Palace shirt was ever going to get on the end of that. Penders with the rather slice clearance, and then there was a foul by Panicelli, just caught Munoz as they went up for the aerial ball. So it's a free kick for Palace, 10 yards or so inside the Strasbourg half.
That was a poor challenge from Panicelli. I'm surprised that's not a booking. I mean, it was quite clumsy in the end. It's a good opportunity for Crystal Palace to really put one into the danger area. It's quite far out, just in front of the halfway line.
It's going to be Jeremy Pino, who's not had his best of nights. Flicked on by Richards. Munoz brings it down inside the penalty. I wonder if Combo almost got in his way there as he went to unleash the volley. Combo is, in the end, just had to settle for the corner in the 92nd minute of the game.
Yeah, it looked like it was better set up for Combo to be able to run onto the ball. Then Munoz just got in his way a little bit.
Corner from the Palace left. Lacroix, Convo, Munoz all forward. Adam Wharton's been penalised for a push as that ball was played in, but I think they're going to get another chance here to retake it. Palace, it was Diego Moreira who goes down. All kinds of pushing and shoving going on in there. Spanish referee is going to give Palace another go here. 2-1 down with 2 added minutes to play on Talksport 2. Pino puts both arms in the air as he prepares to deliver the corner. Straight into the arms of Pendas. Disappointing. Really sums up Pino's night after we were singing his praises before a ball was kicked.
Yeah, I think I jinxed him, to be honest. I still like him as a player. I think he's got fantastic technical ability, but it hasn't been his best night. These things do happen. But I do think in the first half, you know, him and Enciso were kind of in that number 10 spot for both sides. And Enciso, we know he's gone off the pitch now, but I think he was excellent in this second half. And Pino, it hasn't been his best game.
Palace 90 seconds away from defeat. An unlikely defeat when Tyreek Mitchell broke the deadlock 10 minutes before half-time, but Strasbourg have come storming back in the second half as we welcome listeners from Talksport. Emmanuel Amiga with the equaliser after a rapid counter-attack, and then Samir El Mourabet with a tapping goal that looks like it will condemn Palace to defeat. Reacting quickest after a free kick from Enciso hit the crossbar, and here's Panicelli, but he will just keep the ball down by the corner flag. On a night when Palace lost Will Hughes to injury in the first half, Mark Gay didn't come back out for the second half, so worries about their captain as well ahead of a game against Manchester United live on Talksport on Sunday. As Panicelli is upended by Munoz and Strasbourg have the free kick, and Leanne Sanderson, that might just do it.
Yeah, excellent game management. You can see Ben Chilwell. He's been brilliant since he come into this game at the end of the first half. An interesting decision from Liam Rosenior, but the way that this game has been managed from Liam Rosenior, I think, has been excellent. Strasbourg looked like they were causing no problems to Crystal Palace in the first half, and in the second half they've been excellent. Crystal Palace haven't really come out of the dressing room.
Panicelli just trying to keep the ball down by the corner flag, dispossessed by Munoz, but it will be a Strasbourg throw. And Crystal Palace are going to have to get the ball from one end of the field to the other very quickly to stand any chance of rescuing a point. Moreira faked like he was going to throw the ball long into the penalty area. He was only ever going short. Panicelli is dispossessed by Richards, and there might just be enough time for Palace to launch one final attack. 2-1 down, but there will be no time. The full-time whistle sounds. It's a famous victory for Liam Rosenior and for Strasbourg, but it's a second defeat in 4 Conference League games for Crystal Palace, who led 1-0 at half-time, courtesy of Tyreek Mitchell's excellently worked goal. Second half strikes, though, from Emmanuel Amiga and Samir El Mourabet turn the game on its head, and Crystal Palace plummet to 18th place in the Conference League table. It is a significant setback to their hopes of automatic qualification for the round of 16 as it finishes in France. Crystal Palace 1, Strasbourg 2. Leanne Sanderson.
Can't believe what I've just seen, Crookie, to be honest. First half, I thought Crystal Palace dominated, controlled it. Then at half-time, Liam Rosenior made some tactical changes. You know, they went from a 3-back to a 5-back. Then they were moving the ball really well. Anybody that's watched this game tonight, go and get the 21-year-old Valentin Barco, because I thought he was unbelievable. Left-footed player, listed as a left-back. We've seen him play at left-back, was in the midfield, pulling all the strings, and fair play to Liam Rosenior and Strasbourg. Palace, disappointment for them, losing to AEK Larnaca as well in this competition already. But yeah, Liam Rosenior, fair play to him, and Ben Chilwell against his former side as well, getting the result.
Well, I think I might know which side of the coin you're going to come down on here, but it is time to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Does his name end with O by any chance?
It might do. I mean, it was a toss-up between, you know, El Mourabet as well, who I thought was excellent, but Valentin Barco I thought was unbelievable in this game, so that's who I'm giving the player of the match to.
There you go, Valentin Barco, former Brighton player. He is the one who caught the eye with Leanne Sanderson. That was our man of the match. Here For It hero with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
the Here for It hero on Talksport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
So that is the end of a busy night of European football across the Talksport network. Nottingham Forest comfortable winners over Malmo in a repeat of their famous European Cup final victory over on Talksport in the Europa League earlier tonight. Here on Talksport 2, you heard Aston Villa beat Young Boys by 2-1 in that competition. But for Crystal Palace, their hopes of a top 8 finish in the Conference League have suffered a real setback at the hands of Liam Rosenior's Strasbourg. They led 1-0 at half-time, the Eagles, but they've been beaten by 2-1. Next up here on Talksport 2, we've got live NFL action as the Kansas City Chiefs take on the Dallas Cowboys.